Alright, hello everyone and welcome to AEW Discussion. I'm your host in AEW Enthusiast, Dougie Doug. In today's episode, I'm going to discuss Dynamite March 29, 2023 episode. And this episode of Dynamite had a big title match going for it, the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship match. Kenny Omega defending against Jeff Cobb. Now, there is an argument to be made that perhaps New Japan Pro Wrestling title shouldn't be defended on AEW. Valid argument, sure, and but I don't know. I thought this was a solid match, and I think if it's a thing that happens every now and then, and it's not a consistent thing, it's not so bad. Yeah, with that, we're going to get into the action of the show, starting with Matt Hardy versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry. So the match with Hardy was an acceptable wrestling match, a solid wrestling match, and the injection of Hook versus Page into it at least made sense given the Hook's history with Perry. They were a team for a couple of matches. To be honest though, I thought Hook would be moving on to the Ethan Page feud. I guess not. Tony Khan continuing his trend of not letting feuds go and carrying them on longer than they should, but Hook versus Page probably still has some life left in it. The post-match promo between Jungle Boy and MJF was solid. MJF did do most of the heavy lifting, and Perry getting in his lines when necessary. And Jungle Boy still not a strong enough talker yet to go word for word with somebody like MJF, but it is a welcome sight to see him have an opportunity to get those live reps and practice sparring with the world champion. Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara were watching backstage, which adds further credence to the idea that a fatal four-way for the world title is probably happening at Double or Nothing. This week it was Jack Perry's turn to pick up a win and start building momentum towards that match. On Rampage on Friday, Sammy Guevara gets a match to start his journey, so I'll be curious to see what happens next with Darby Allin. Who does he face next? And again, how does this all play out? It hasn't been confirmed if it's a fatal four-way, but it could be trending that way. And honestly, it might be for the best to do a fatal four-way rather than having to pick between one of those three. Maybe let's just do all four. Just have all of them. Also, when we talk about pillars of AEW, let's remember there are 5 pillars, and that 5th pillar is Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Please, commentary, put some respect on her name. IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship match, Kenny Omega versus Jeff Cobb. The match was good. Strong performance by Cobb that was aided by Taz's efforts in commentary and some great selling by Omega. With that said though, Omega spent practically the entire match selling his ribs, including a failed attempt at a Wailing Angel, only for Omega to moments later not only power up his challenger, but then walk around the ring with him, which goes completely against the story that the two of them had established to that point, and certainly made for a disappointing conclusion to what had been a quality bout. When you build up a story logically, and then you throw that logic out the window, throw that logic and story out the window for no logical reason, it certainly does hamper the end of your bout at the end of the match. The post-match, we saw the return of Bryan Danielson, who had rushed to the ring to aid Omega as he found himself encircled by Blackpool Combat Club. Was great. Danielson appeared to take Omega's side, only to turn on him and remain with the BCC, and that again further adds credence to the idea of a big match between the Elite, reunited with Hangman Page, versus the BCC. However, the Young Bucks are on the shelf. I think Matt Jackson has bicep, or is it tricep? Yes, I think it is a bicep injury. I think there's a tear. I don't know if it's a full or partial tear. I remember seeing that though, and there is talk about him missing Double or Nothing, so I guess it would be an injury that sidelines him. So, with the Bucks out with injury, what exactly does that mean for whatever plan AEW has here? Is this going to derail things, or does, hopefully AEW have a plan B in place in case the Bucks cannot make American time for the big match between the Elite and the BCC, whenever that match may be. So, I would imagine, yes, plan A is the Elite, the Bucks, Omega, and Hangman versus the BCC, which I think that'd be 5 in the Elites, and then 4, Danielson, Moxley, Claudio, and Yuta. Yeah, that's 4. It'd be 4, it'd be 5. I don't know. I remember last time talking about this and saying that the numbers still need to be worked out, and it appears that the numbers still need to be worked out. And if you take the Bucks out of the equation, well, that leaves Omega and Pay and Hangman versus the 4 members of the BCC. So again, numbers still gotta be worked out. What the big match is, also to be determined. Maybe AEW decides to bring back Stadium Stampede for Double or Nothing, or what was that one match between the Jericho Appreciation Society and BCC? Was it Anarchy in the Arena? Maybe they bring back Anarchy in the Arena. Granted, Anarchy in the Arena was a bit excessive, but I mean, it still was a fun. What question of what he meant. And I guess the menu's going back. I guess if that makes any sense. Yeah, I mean, in a way, I guess it does, because he did kind of split from the BCC when in his feud of MJF, and now that that's over, he's back with them. Adam Cole versus Daniel Garcia, main event, return of Adam Cole after 9 months, and then Resilient Cole would nail Garcia with a boom for the pinfall victory. Streamers exploded, and Dr. Britt Baker DMD made her way ringside, and then it happened. It being Chris Jericho. Jericho would make his way to the ring, pull Garcia to the floor, stopping a few times along the way to look over his shoulder, not quite make eye contact with Cole, but seemingly kind of looking back to seemingly suggest something. Never did confront him, never did lock eyes, and it appears that Jericho is recognizing when someone, that's the thing about Chris Jericho, he can recognize when someone is getting hot, or when an angle is building steam, and find his way into the mix. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. He's a wily veteran. He knows when he sees something he likes and wants to be involved with it. Cole is it, and when one could assume that after tonight's show that he and Jericho will have a match at some point, probably Double or Nothing. That would seem to be a good spot for that match. If nothing else, it will be a star-studded match that will help bluster that card if it does happen. Which again seems the most like would be the best stage for a match like that. But the important thing though is that if you do Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho, it has to be a one-off. This can't be another thing with Chris Jericho where he gets into a feud with somebody and then it goes on for way too long. So let's avoid that. And with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up this episode of AEW Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.